Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only XCN coin, right? Listen, man, you know me. You know I am super optimistic about this coin, and I do believe it's going to do wonders this cycle. Okay, I really, really do believe so. Now, before we get into the technical analysis, ladies and gentlemen, we will be actually looking at what some people are saying about this coin because there's a few things that I saw that I want to talk about. And before we do that, the Discord is open, ladies and gentlemen, right? The free version is open. So make sure to join, make sure to join the community, become one with the community, become a sniper. And of course, those that want a portfolio review, advanced technical analysis and coins that we are calling out, then of course you can also join the private community. Listen, right? Top assets in the accumulation zone. We can see, right? We can see XCN is right there, right? XCN is there. Sure, price change in the last 7 days, minus 11%. It is what it is. A lot of coins have gone down. Plus, the context of XCN is a little bit unique compared to other coins. Okay. We can see, right, from Money Tings. I don't know who this is, but, he has drawn out something similar that we will be talking about where, XCN, boom, sees a nice price, a nice pump in price, drops off, pump, drops off, and I'm expecting, well, he's expecting a pump very, very soon. Let's see if the data does suggest that, right? I will say, right, we are currently ranked 110 in the world with 491 million market cap, 23 million volume in the last 24 hours. So the ratio is not the best as of right now. It's not the best. We obviously want it better. And, overall, it's still looking very, very solid, right? We will look at the amount of holders right now. We can see that we've actually been growing consistently despite price trending downwards for the most part, right? We've been cooling off the last few weeks, but we can still see, right, that that holders are continuously going up higher and higher, right? That is just a reality. So that's very good. That's what you'd like to see, right? When price goes down or slows down or starts going sideways, but holders still go up, that means people see the vision. It's not just pure hype. It's not just pure bandwagon. Okay. Now, also another thing, ladies and gentlemen, we are still not listed on a couple of exchanges, right? The one off the top of my head is Binance, right? We're still not on Binance. We are still not on some other exchanges that are also fairly big. I don't see crypto.com personally over here, right? I don't know every single top of exchange on top of my head, but I do see that overall there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of room for extra volume, right? And potential holders to be joining once we get listed on more exchanges. So that is very, very nice to see as well, right? Every time a coin has opportunity to get listed on more exchanges, you know, just overall grow, it is very, very nice to see. Let's finally get into the technical analysis, ladies and gentlemen. On the micro level, we can see in the last few days that we actually have broken out of this channel over here, right? We can see that, we had a big pump back in April. We pumped for a few days, and then we were just kind of trending sideways, mainly going down. And you can see, right? We kind of went from, let's just say, mainly 0.022 to mainly 0.016, right? That was like the main area. Boom, right? We're just kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down. Eventually, kind of broke through, right? We were selling off. But here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, right? We were selling off. We were going in a diagonal channel. But guess what happened? Right? Guess what happened? We actually broke out of this channel recently, right? We saw a nice pump June 23rd, 4th, and 25th, right? We went above some of these highs. We changed some structure, right? Market structure shift. And now we can see that we are slowly kind of selling off, which is fine, which is fine. It doesn't necessarily mean it's end of the world, but it is a possibility that we do kind of go lower here, tap into this order block right here, daily order block, and then continue to go upwards. The main thing I'm mainly looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is to see how Bitcoin is going to react. We can see Bitcoin is currently at almost $110,000. Now, here's also the important thing, right? Bitcoin has multiple highs. We can see drawn out. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, they are all lower highs, right? So technically, you know, there isn't that confirmation that we broke out and then we're looking to pull back and then continue to go up, right? That is just the truth. But price action the last few days is very nice and aggressive. But we need to see how this week plays out. Because here's the deal, right? The question is, are we going to get something like here, right? Go boom over down here, where we looked good for some of the days in the week, and then we closed very weak, and then we sold off the next few weeks, right? Creating this high, a lower high, and then something very similar high, lower high potentially, right? And then sell off. Or are we going to push and burst past some of these prices, hold, right? And then continue to go up? Because there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference in how things are going to play out, right? Part of trading, part of, just looking at the charts is patience. It is. It is waiting for confirmation. And that is what we're doing. Because if this week plays out really well, and by the time Sunday rolls around, we close very strong, there's a very high probability that something like XCN will continue to pump higher and higher. Now, overall, if we go and look at the higher time frame, I'm still extremely bullish on this coin. This isn't literally the same scenario, but we are kind of in a scenario where we may have a few slower, let's say weeks, quote unquote months, where we kind of look just slowly selling off sideways, and then eventually we start bursting to the upside. We know XCN moves in big bursts, okay? Most of the time, it is going to be slow, boring, or slow sell off. But when it starts pumping, you missed your opportunity. That is why I have personally been dollar cost averaging. That's why I have certain areas marked up for where I want to be buying. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is very, very important to be getting good prices, great prices, and sniper prices. Because, that is just my personal strategy, and that's what I found works the best. One final thing I'll talk about is if we do reject, right? If we do reject and go lower, right? We do have this big support resistance. As of right now, it is a resistance because we are under this whole zone, right? If Bitcoin looks very weak by the end of this week, then all this simply was a pullback to retest off the zone to then simply go lower. Okay? That is it. That is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.